welcome back to the IWAR Network Tubecast. I'm your host, Alex G., your IWL Commissioner, and with me, as always, Matt Riley, the BRL and NWL Commissioner, and Mr. Anderson, the CWL and IWAR Commissioner. How are you gentlemen doing this evening?
Super.
Excellent. Whoa, I didn't know Arnold was with us. I'm doing well, though. Thank you.
Who's Arnold? Like from Different Strokes?
No, that was definitely an Arnold voice that our esteemed colleague did.
No,
Super. It is not a tumor.
It's wicked, super awesome, kid. Like the snow's coming and such. You know what I'm saying?
I hate your guts.
Wicked awesome.
Off to a great start. Great start.
Oh. Fucking
Let's talk about speaking of New England, let's talk about Bob Kraft. Oh.
Go.
No.
Yeah.
We talked about that in the last show that we did. We spent 5 minutes on the video game with you talking about it, which I left in. Because
that's the game you want because you want the...
Oh, my.
Anyways.
This episode will be the February 2019 cycle in review. But first, we're going to start with some IWAR-wide news. So, Mr. Anderson, do you want to go through some IWAR-wide news?
You know I do. So last cycle was the second of 3 for our IWAR title series. I don't want to reveal any of those possible results. I will say, however, that most of those series are still very much in contention. So it will come down to mostly this third and final series. Look for some small updates to the results and contenders and how all that works in the next cycle or two. Kind of be showing who's possible contenders, starting with our next series. In addition to that, I do think it's time, do you gentlemen think it's time to announce the addition to the IWAR World possibilities?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you for that glowing enthusiasm.
Yes!
Yes.
He's gonna puke!
Beyond the mat. So, the NWL, our rookie league, who is filled with really good talent still, not being included in the IWAR World, we've been kind of discussing the possibility of somehow finding a way to add more like a possible additional challenger. And so kind of what we've come up with is this idea that in addition to the BRL, CWL, and IWL kind of heavyweight or world champions, however you would define them, being possible challengers, we're going to have the mid-card titles, loosely defined, as the BRL Unified, the CWL National, and the IWL Pan American. Those 3 champions will kind of have their own like sub-series, and the best strategy out of those 3, as long as they trash talk, will get the chance to join the possible challengers in the following 3 cycles, which I know this is sounding a little convoluted at the moment. It'll all make sense once you start to see it. Those 3 will compete in a series, and then the winner of the series between those 3 gets the opportunity to be involved in the contenders, basically, the following series. So they have to, in order to challenge for the IWAR World, they would have to have the best strategy among those mid-card champions, and then the following 3 cycles have the best strategy among the heavyweight title challengers. So it'll be easier once you start to see it. I guarantee it. But that's big news there. So those champions will have an opportunity to possibly challenge for the IWAR title, IWAR World title. We do have the winner of Combustible Elements, as posted on the Facebook group. Congratulations to, drumroll, Joe Boring, who won 3 of the 4 IWAR-wide events in 2018, basically, right? It's ridiculous.
No one's surprised.
No one is surprised at all.
Sure.
So the manager for Joe Boring won $72 in IWA credit. The runner-up also wins $24 in IWA credit, and that goes to the same manager who manages Handsome Hollywood Star. So congrats.
I'd like to offer up an amendment to ban any future NASCAR officials from joining.
So, we have a strict policy of no NASCAR. Anyway, that's kind of a mini update on the title series. In addition to that, the the IWAR Revolution title match. Kind of what I'm thinking is a small change that we will announce the match that will happen the following cycle. So like the IWAR Revolution match will not happen this cycle, it'll happen the following cycle. And as long as we don't get a huge backlog, which I don't think we will, my plan is to do them like every other cycle. So like Joe Boring will be the cycle after this one, and then the winner from Soul Survival will be 2 cycles after that. And then if we have somebody else, it'll be 2 cycles after that.
Sounds good to me.
Kind of run it that way.
Yeah.
Awesome sauce. So then, in addition to that, we do have the final count for the number of participants in our 6th annual Johnny B Cup, as well as the participants in our 28th annual Murano Memorial Tag Tournament.
Do you want to list off the competitors?
Say what?
You want to list off the competitors?
No, because that would take way too long.
That many?
Yeah.
Can we get a count of how many?
Yeah, we definitely can. That's what I was going to do next before I was interrupted.
Sorry.
I know you're just excited. I'm excited too.
Doing my job.
Excuse me for hosting. Sorry. Anyway, the number of teams in the Murano, my final count that I have is 35. So 35 teams signed up for the Murano, which means that the total amount of credit that will be divvied up is $70 in credit. I'm not sure on the breakdown on that yet. To be determined. Final count on the number of entries in the Johnny B Cup. We reached a grand total of 103. Quite a few. So I'll be working out those brackets. Hopefully I'll post those before the cycle drops. Maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. So the Johnny B Cup first round matches will take place this cycle. The Murano matches will not take place until next cycle. You will notice that since we don't have like a perfectly even amount, some wrestlers will get a bye in the first round. That's going to be strictly random. You might get lucky. You might have a guy get a bye. It's just the way it's going to go. Just the way. I
already slipped at $10 for Luther. So
right. Oh, Luther's like into the final 4, I think. So, other than Luther, right? Everybody else just random. If they get a first round bye, it's just how it's going to go. So that's those events. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it all.
Okay, so I was pretty happy. 103 is a good number. I was hoping to get over 128, but 103 is still pretty good. And Murano's good turnout. We have like an abundance, amazing teams in the Murano. It's going to be a fantastic tournament, I think. Pretty excited.
All right, man. I dig it, man. I dig it up. I've got my train of thought. Thanks. You guys suck. All right, so next up is the NWL number 127 League Champion, American Patriot, TV Champion, Late Night, Logan Kane, Atlantic Champion, The Chameleon, Central Champion, Victor, The Possessed, Amazimov, Dixie Champion, The Green Phantom, Eastern Champion, Bram O'Brien, Mountain Champion, The Greek Tycoon, Peen Penis, Northern Champion, The Professor of Pain, Jason Curry, Pacific Champion Billy Club, Prairie Champion Showtime Tommy Christopher, Southern Champion RJ Juggalo, Western Champion The Dream Destroyer Apollo Payne, Tag Team Champions The Chameleon and American Patriot, TV Tag Team Champions Late Night Logan Kane and Peens Penis, 6-Man Tag Team Champions Dash DeLorean The Chameleon and The Outlaw John Nash, TV 6-Man Champions The Breathtaking Ashton Kelso, The Professor of Pain Jason Curry, and Cole Deadeye Tracker. So, Matt, what's going down in the NWL?
There's just too much going on. There's too much action. I was watching some old YouTube clips of like the old 1-800 wrestling hotlines and how they were always so like just exploding with, "You've got to call now!"
See that big phone back there and that big number? Well, I'm a big guy, too. I'm Captain Lou Albano talking to you about the Captain Lou Albano Wrestling Celebrity Hotline. I want you to call me for all of wrestling's latest news and views. I've been involved in wrestling for 35 years, and nobody knows wrestling like me. Remember the number, 1-976-5858. 1-976-5858. If you don't call, I'll get you. Hey, I'm just kidding.
If you don't call, I'm going to kill Mean Gene. Too late.
Has anyone actually called those before? Do they talk very slow, like in the episode of Simpsons? Like, this is Mean Gene Okerlund.
I have not, but I do remember the old Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling's hotline where they would have, I'm calling the Nuchka, call me now. I'm like, wait a minute, you were just like saying USA sucks.
The Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling are now on the telephone.
And we don't want just any wimps calling us.
The Glow Girls can now be dialed directly.
We want to hear from real men, capable men.
For a good time, call the Gals of Glow.
Okay, you guys out there, let's hear from you now.
Dial 1-900-660-GALS for Glow. $1.50 for the first minute, 35 cents each additional minute.
That was really just a 1-900 number that you called.
Glow. Oh, Glow. Oh, I had the wrong bulletin. Helps you grab the right one. There it is. There's a lot going on.
Stop wasting paper.
I enjoy the paper wasting. And if there's ever like an apocalypse, I'll have plenty of stuff to burn.
I want to go on record as saying, like, I would rather freeze to death than burn my bulletins.
If there's no either way, there's nothing worth living for. I'll be the one guy. Sir, what are you doing? Carrying a package, an envelope to Willowbrook, Ohio. It's my matches. It's a dark time. Yeah, so NWL is exploding. We had a lot of new wrestlers this cycle, including two, Jake and Jack Jekyll, who had 168 matches between them.
Good Lord.
So I don't know who runs them, so contact me if you're listening. We had a whole bunch of new wrestlers this cycle and lots of good trash talk. I think I've mentioned before that we were always concerned about NWL, but this TT has been phenomenal from a lot of different players. There's good characters, there's good storylines, there's feuds. We appreciate all the work going into it. We are coming up to Clash the Champions 6, Money in the Bank. This next issue coming out, I will announce the 10 entrants that have been selected for the Money in the Bank. But there's a lot going on. And reminder, the Money in the Bank, it works like it does in WWE. It is currently held by Insincere Saul Revere. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant money. The 10-person entry thing is actually for the Hardcore Haven pay-per-view match, which, of course, is the best kind of match, one where the fans bring the weapons. We have a lot of title matches.
Someone's bringing a dildo.
I hope so. The Young Lions Championship will be defended when the Chameleon challenges Victor the Possessed Ayazimov. We've got a controversy surrounding the Rising Star Championship, which will play out very soon. And I've been asking players if they want to, get on Facebook and join the IWAR page, get into the locker room, the NWL locker room chat group. I really can't stress that enough. It's a great way to kind of navigate. It's working out really well with the players that are there now. Trash talk-wise, I just a lot of good work, like the Unholy Alliance. We have the 8 Torrents of Prestige, the Rude Rider. I think it's important to know that you don't have to have a huge submission. You can do a lot with a paragraph or even a few lines. Let me ask you, Alex G., what stood out to you?
I think everyone knows that I'm a huge fan of Monster Truck Tanaka. So he recently won the Prairie Championship, but he doesn't know where the Prairie is. So he asked his mom, and his mom doesn't know because she went to school in Japan, which is hilarious to me. I love this. This is fantastic. Again, I love monster trucks. I love the Monster Jam. And I love Monster Truck Tanaka. So, he's trying to befriend John the Beast Gordon, so we'll see how that goes for him. I don't think that's going to go well.
I like how he's like, I'll protect you. Like, you're basically a weakling. It's like, I'm going to insult you. But, no.
So don't worry, I'll protect you.
Mr. Anderson, what stood out to you?
Probably going to mention some of these other ones already, but there are ones that I think that tend to stick out to certain people. I just want to mention again, Tommy Christopher was really good again. Saul Revere was really good again. The one I want to talk about a little more time was Seth Adams Lee, who is really pushing his attempts to get on the Hardcore Heaven pay-per-view event, which is a really smart idea to promote and push, trying to get on the pay-per-view, right? So he's got his barbed wire. He's talking about how he's not just challenging scrubs. He's fighting really tough opponents. And he lists, like, this is who I beat. I beat so-and-so. I beat so-and-so. I beat so-and-so. And so it's this really good, like, rundown of backing up the reasons why he should be on the pay-per-view. It's just really well done, I think. So, well, good job to Seth Adams Lee once again. And I, for one, hope he gets on the Hardcore Heaven pay-per-view.
Well, again, there's more to come there. Seth Adams Lee does a great job with his work, and I appreciate the submissions. Of course, Dash DeLorean, always a fun read. Peens, P. I won't even say his name. You know who he is. He's another one that's fun to read. And that's what's good about it is not just that they're interesting reads. Some of them are really funny.
Some good character work going there.
Right. I also enjoy that we got an update on the injured Joe Fantastic, who was, of course, the former Young Lions champion, was injured in the title defense against Victor Ayamazov, but he's vowed to come back. So we'll see if he's going to be returning or not. I like the storylines where they kind of give us little hints of things like that. So NWL players, always remember, it's not just this cycle, but the cycle beyond, And some people will say to me, like, well, how do I know who to feud with? It's take a few shots, see what happens. And sometimes, like, Alex mentioned about Monster Truck Tanaka, the kind of a backhanded compliment of protecting a wimp. Not the best way to go about it, but whatever. But it might start a feud. And you also feel free to go at people. Cole Deadeye Tracker does a great promo, huge promo. What's nice about Cole Tracker's promo is he kind of changes the font, which changes the voice of the narrative, which is a really nice effect.
Hard move.
Yeah, so I would, we were talking pre-show about the BRL and the trash talk there kind of cleaning up and being more legible. And it makes it so much easier, especially when you're reading a lot of trash talk. Because when you're just kind of thumbing through, if you see trash talk that just is like hard to read, it just makes it less motivating, So take a look at the NWL pay-per-view, NWL trash talk. And we had a question from the group here. Question from Larry Sullivan. Any words of wisdom for rookies leaving the NWL and headed to established leagues?
Oh, so much.
Step 1. Bribe the commissioner.
Yes.
They're cheap and easy to pay off.
My word of wisdom is when you walk into a league, again, you have to reestablish your character again. So make sure that everyone knows who they are. You might want to go back and do a little profile, height, weight, that kind of stuff. And then when you're calling people out, cast a wide net. So you may want to call out, 3 or 4 different people, maybe attack somebody to cast that wide net for you because, 3 out of those 4 people may not respond to you, but that one might. So just keep that in mind.
Right. Yeah. It's that double-edged sword when you do pick one person. The problem is if you sit there and say, I'm going to go after this one guy, and you spend 3 cycles going after that one guy and get silence back or you don't get much response at all or whatever, now you got to reboot, where you kind of, arriving in a new league, establishing yourself as part of the biggest thing you can do because people there won't know who you are. Yeah. Right. Like if like I know like the Chameleon's leaving soon. Logan Kane's leaving soon. Well, we know their characters from the NWL as being, like the Chameleon dresses up and does these.
And they've already started putting stuff in the league. They're not even in the leagues yet, and they're already sending stuff in.
Right, that's a very good way to kind of start greasing that wheel, so to speak. So when you show up, you're like, oh, it's almost like what we had sort of recently with WWE with the NXT call-ups, not the ones they just called up this past few weeks, but before they had these little promos with EC3 and so forth to kind of help give you an idea who they are, and even though in the back in the old days, $1 Million Man promos, establishing promos, Mr. Perfect. So people who don't know you will know, okay, this guy's a good guy, he's a bad guy, what's he want, why is he coming in? So I would say that's as far as that goes when it comes to establishing yourself. Yeah. Competitively, I think the best way to think of the IWA, to give it kind of a way to think about it, is think of it more like golf, where you're competing. Like if you have a 500 strategy, that's going to do well anywhere. If you have a 495, that might win league title in NWL, you might go titleless in the BRL or IWL or CWL because it can be so competitive. Challenge for as many titles as you can, and enter the battle royals. Be competitive. I was asked recently. We'll talk about a little bit more later, but there's a new IWA related page on Facebook, and several times people ask, "Well, what's NWL like?" I'm a former player. Best way I can equate it to players who don't know what the NWL is, if they're formerly have played in the IWA, think of it like a bunny slope. If you're learning how to ski and you learn the bunny slope, you do a little pizza and French fries to go fast or slow. Once you know how to ski, you get off the bunny slope. Well, same idea. You wouldn't go like if you were like, skiing slaloms and be like, man, I remember when I used to ski the bunny slope when I was a kid. I'm going to go back there and just destroy everybody. So similar idea. If you've been in the IWA report with multiple hits, if you've been in the game multiple years, you understand how the game works, the process, the drops, the holds, just everything involved. You don't need to go to the NWL. If you played in IWA for, let's say, 3 months to a year and didn't really play that well and you were a kid and you want to try again, well, okay, let's talk and see how it goes. But when you graduate into a new league, it's on you to establish yourself again. So theoretically, if you've had a year to kind of learn how to hone your character, you can do it a lot easier this time. Some words of wisdom.
Yeah, man. I dig it.
If I may, although to piggyback a lot of what you already said, when you come into a new league, even if you have established characters like Matt mentioned, a lot of the wrestlers, a lot of the managers in your new league will not know your character's story, right? Even if those managers know who you are, like maybe they've heard us talk about Late Night Logan Kane or the Chameleon or, Victor Asimov, and they've heard of these characters, but they don't know those stories. They don't know what you've done over the last year, right? So something that the rookie class that just left did coming into the CWL in particular, if I could shout out those guys, is they kind of said, these are the things that we did, and this is kind of why you should care that we're coming, which is a good idea, I think. In terms of your trash talk, certainly Alex's suggestion of casting a wide net, if you're going in kind of, I don't want to say blind, but if you're just kind of going in on your own, wide net, great idea. What I would also add to that is that if you have the opportunity to talk to the commissioner, ask that commissioner, say, hey, who's looking for a feud? Who do you think would work well with me? And who would be interested in working with somebody new coming in? You might find some success that way. And then also, especially if you're coming in as a rookie into a veteran league, into a competitive veteran league, understanding of the level of success that you may or may not have your first, say, 6 months, right? Like if you go to a league that has 60 cards or 50, 60, 70 active wrestlers, and these are veteran managers, probably not going to have, a league title 2 cycles in.
Make sure you manage those expectations.
Right, exactly. Like coming in, it's going to take a little while to kind of, get up the ladder, so to speak. So be understanding if you don't have a huge amount of success instantaneously in a veteran league. The last thing I would mention is certainly I would love if all the rookies came to an IWAR league, particularly CWL, that'd be great. But look around the IWA. There are great leagues in other feds. There are leagues that we endorse in our bulletin or in our magazine. If you have any questions, me, Matt, or Alex are all thrilled to help with that. There are other managers that would be happy to help with that. There are really good leagues around the IWA. So I wouldn't want managers to feel like they should restrict themselves to only a certain group or a certain fed. You'll find things that work for you only by trying them. So that's my words of encouragement.
All right, man, I dig it. So, Matt, you got anything else for the NWL?
Just if you are on the Facebook group, please be sure to let me know. If you apply to join the Facebook group, always answer the questions.
Answer the questions!
Yeah, that's how we screen out the fakes. Some people get mad at me like, oh, I applied, I got rejected. Did you answer the questions? So answer the questions. Let us know who you run. That way we can let you in. There it is.
All right, man.
There it is.
I dig it. All right, next up is the IWL number 100 league champion Luther Alexander, television champion Graham Sabrosa, New York City champion Strictly Business, Los Angeles champion One Insider, Boston champion Anonymous Source, Detroit champion Graham Underwood, Cleveland champion Matt Jackson, Dallas champion James Carnage, Memphis champion The American Savage, Buddy, Miami champion Magnum TL, San Francisco champion The American Savages Hank, Chicago champion Tim Riggins III, tag team champions Jesse Tombstone and James Carnage, TV tag team champion The American Savages of Buddy and Hank, six-man champions Spike Dillinger and Hank and Buddy and The American Savages, TV six-man champions Shocker Jimmy Electric, Prince Tunda, and Graham Sabrosa. So Alex G, what's going down in the IWL? Well, this is a momentous occasion. This is our 100th cycle. So what I did is I asked Ryan for the earliest issue of Post to Post so I can put that on the cover of the latest issue of Post to Post. So thank you, Ryan, for getting that out to me. I appreciate that. In addition, you may see a brand new segment in the report called the IWL Blaze 411 with your host, Fahrenheit. So this is a recap page. I've been looking for someone to do a recap page for me for a while, and I got my assistance from Fahrenheit. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Nice job, by the way. In addition, don't forget that this cycle is the Kumite. So we have 8 wrestlers who will be competing in a no holds barred, no rings, no rules. Someone may die. And the winner of this will get 10 free matches and a shot at the Pan American Championship at the next pay-per-view. Actually, I'm sorry, 20 free matches and $100,000 of iCash. In addition, we have Soul Survivor also coming up this cycle. The deadline has passed, or I have already everyone's entry fees for that. So, to be honest, I'll be honest with you guys, a little disappointed at the amount of people I had joined up this time. But these things happen every once in a while. So, what are you gonna do? So, Mr. Anderson, what do you got in terms of TT for us?
For the IWL, I wanted to discuss the return of one of my favorite groups of the last year or so. The Math Club is back. Math Jackson, Algebra Jones, and Graphing Violence, TI-83. So obviously, being a lover of math and numbers, I was very excited to see this group come back. And Math Jackson gave a very good reason and detailed analysis of why they were gone. Their approval rating was not great, but they worked out a perfect formula that would increase the popularity of their group and therefore their success to almost untold numbers. So they picked this cycle 100, to make their return. So very happy to see the Math Club back in activity for the IWL.
Man, I dig it. And Matt, what do you have?
Trash talk-wise, I'm going to go to one of my personal favorites. That would be Magnum TL.
The return of Magnum TL.
He was given an ultimatum to apologize for interrupting a promo by the Gentleman's Club. He didn't interrupt it. They attacked him. And I just love that he used a picture of Magnum TA from the Saturday Night Wrestling show. It just was a great, sharp, to-the-point rebuttal. And again, it moved things forward. So I really enjoyed it. Thank you, sir.
Welcome back, Magnum TL. In addition to that, we have the Chaotix. Now, you have Graham Underwood, who is now not only the IWL heavyweight champion, not only the IWAR world champion, but he's in addition to that, he is the Revolution champion as well, which is crazy. How does that make you feel, Mr. Anderson?
I'm okay with it.
And why are you afraid of the regulators?
I don't know that the Chaotix are afraid of the regulators.
They're afraid.
Only that they have clearly been trying to avoid dealing with
right next to Luther pissing their pants.
Yeah. So the Chaotix are going to have to stop ducking them this upcoming cycle. Just a little preview on that. But
I didn't think the Chaotix were cowards like that. I think I've lost a little bit of respect for them, to be honest.
I mean, that's a fair point. The Chaotic obviously did not want to fess up to the fact that they may have had some of their success due to the fact that the regulators were not there. So they avoided it as long as they could, but now they're going to have to pay the piper, so to speak.
I have a feeling that the Chaotics are going to lay down for Magnum Force because they don't want to fight the regulators.
That's
So
one way to avoid the big fight, I guess.
We should mention, too, as a little tip for players out there, when you're doing your matches and you're sending them in, always make sure you put down the right opponents, or you might cost yourself an out-of-way major. So just in the future, make sure you're fighting the right people.
Throwing that out there.
All right, so we have a cool picture of the Omega Squadron. So they're coming soon to the IWL, and a special shout out to Neo Dragon, who has been doing fantastic TT. I think he's been carrying the IWL in terms of TT as of late. So thank you, Neo Dragon, for that. And I'll be remiss of not sharing this picture of Luther Alexander, who's apparently wearing some sort of helmets, and I don't know what's wrong with his teeth of some sort. They look pretty rotten to me, and apparently he likes to pee on himself. So there you go. I don't know how I feel about that. I think there's going to have to be a situation there. Speaking of situations, we have the regulators who made a challenge to the Chaotix for Wrestle Riot 6. So they got the balls, and they want to prove who's the best. And they'll be waiting. We'll see how that goes. You can't run. You can't hide forever.
Nope.
And then we have the Fox Wrestling Scorch, because I got to talk about this because it's insane. The things you need to know is that Big Bad Red Fox is not the guy from Sanford and Son. And then Robert Race drinking until being IWL president seems like a good idea.
Oh.
I also like the Chaotix use of hairspray single-handedly to blame for the hole in the ozone layer. And then the regulators return, now brooding jerks, not cowboys. They love the chap industry in steep decline. Man, I dig it. In addition, I did write a little something for the IWL 100. Just on a personal note here, for the longest time since I was in the NWL as a rookie, the IWL has been my favorite league to play in. So when I got the opportunity to be the commissioner of the IWL, I definitely was excited to grab that. And I hope over the past, has it been 2 years? I feel like it's been 2 years. Over the past 2 years, I hope I've done a good job. I hope it's been a fun place to play. And I will continue to do that as long as I can. I'm going to hold on for as long as I can. But thank you guys for making the IWL, a perpetual top 10 league. So, thank you, as always. Next up is the CWL bulletin number 230, league champion, Take a Knee, Barry Stevens, or Barry Take a Knee Stevens. TV champion, Marcus the Monster Monroe. United States champion, Alec Von Schnapp. Yukon champion, the Velocigator. Is that like half Velociraptor and half alligator?
My God.
Mr. Anderson, can you get a ruling on this, please?
The Velocigator. I believe it's a play. There's the word tag in the middle there. I believe that all of the dinosaurs that joined have some sort of play on the word tag.
Dinosaurs in the CWL, huh? Interesting.
Tagosaurus Rex.
They were too busy thinking, could they do it, not should they do it. So let's keep that in mind.
Well, the thing you have to remember, though, Alex, is that life will find a way.
Those.
Oh boy.
Caribbean champion, Lauren Order. Amazon Basin champion, Luther Alexander. British Isles champion, Dixon Ticonderoga. Arabian champion, the fisherman, Ernest Ahab. South African champion, Hazard. Siberian champion, the river dancer, Mike Collins. East Asian champion, Hester. Oceanic champion, Death. Tag team champions, Barry Take a Knee Stevens and Dixon Ticonderoga. TV tag team champions, Gideon Shining Star and David Humbleheart. Six-man champions, Rod Fash, Fester, and Hester. TV six-man champions, Unleavened Bread, Alabaster, and the wrestler with no name. So, Mr. Anderson, what's going down in DC? WL.
Well, our pay-per-view is coming up. It is this upcoming cycle. A quick rundown of the final matches. Joe Boring versus Peter Cross. The Syndicate versus the Hillbilly Hell Show. Victor Von Snop versus John Body. Agents of Redemption versus The Educated. The Midnight Society versus Midnight Delight. Dan Maggot versus Piper Monroe. The Lone Wolves versus the Carnage Squad. And the Cool Friends versus the Combat Cartel. There's also talk of a special 10-man tag match, which I'm not ready to announce now, but just kind of a special feature match for the amazing wrestlers that were not already in a match, maybe in a special 10-man tag match. We'll see. In addition to the pay-per-view, we had the Four Corners Invitational announced this cycle. We are going to limit that to 32 wrestlers. Each manager may enter one wrestler prior to April 2nd. I encourage you to get those in ASAP. You have about a month. So if the limit is reached by April 2nd, we'll go with those 32. If it's not reached, then the managers that perform the best in the Battle Royal will have the opportunity to enter a second wrestler.
Oh.
So then we'll go down the line there, and we'll go until we get 32 signups. So we're going to be trying to be kind of exclusive. We want 32 of the best. So we'll have some Fatal 4-Way matches, and then our finals in traditional Four Corners style will be a strap match where you have to hit all four corners to win. So
you say strap match or strap-on match?
Only strap. There's no on.
Okay. Just making sure because I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
I know that's the match. Never mind. You know what? I'm not.
It's appropriate.
Nope.
Yep.
So winner will get the $32 in credit. Any tiebreakers will be Battle Royal finish. Not that I left that out of another contest I run in another league. So always account for tiebreakers. In addition to those two things, we once again had over 100 cards, which is awesome. Thank you. And it means that for every match deal a manager takes, they can take 10 free matches. So please take advantage of that. Don't miss out on 10 free matches or more if you do more than one match deal. Congratulations to Barry Stevens. Had a 500. Won a bunch of IWA-wide stuff. Rob Fash, Hester, and Fester won World 6-Man. Just a slew. Victor, I think, won an IWA World also. And then we had 4 teams get 5/16s.
That's
this cycle.
That's too many. I should not.
That's pretty incredible. 4 5/16s. So, Dragonheart Ray Converse put a little humility into Joe Boring by winning the Eastern Championship. Marcus the Monster Monroe beat Peter Cross to be the new Western Champion. Supreme Tantum Champions, Agents of Redemption, managed to sweep Bone Cutters. The Tantum Tag Team Champions, Take a Pencil, retained against the Von Snot. Trinity Champions remain Peter Cross and the Bone Cutters. Our finals for the number 1 contender for the Continental title for the next term will be Barry Stevens versus Victor Von Snot. The finals to determine the very first national champion is Lugubrious Lauren O'Dur versus the General Ulysses Monroe. And so please, if you didn't get a chance already, check what the changes are to how I will find the number 1 contender for the titles going forward, the ones that have a series. Hopefully, again, it's a situation where it'll make sense once you start to see it. Basically, we're going to keep a certain number of highest strategies every cycle, which hopefully will ensure that we have the very best of the best challenging for those titles. So what about you, gentlemen? What do you have for the CWL, Mr. Riley?
Oh, well, it's always a tough time to choose. But I'm curious if the Von Schnapp's threat to not do promos unless they get praise from the league will pay off. I don't know if that's going to work out too well.
Especially given their recent turn to the dark side.
Rat bastards. And of course, I enjoy some unleavened bread.
Who doesn't?
You can't get enough bread-related, carb-related promos. And I enjoy the visuals. I'm always looking forward to the next bread-related promo from Unleavened Bread. The masked bread man. Which I always think in my head, like, well, do we think he's a guy who wears a bread mask or assume that he's a loaf of bread that's sentient?
I go with bread mask, personally.
That's what I agree.
Then I will take the dissenting opinion. I will assume that he is a sentient loaf of bread.
In my mind, I want to put him in a giant toaster and toast him.
There you go. Or just like dunk him in a pink drink dunk tank, and like watch him swell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So,
gross.
Alex, what did you have in terms of TT?
Well, we'll talk about the Death Dealers here. They look like they took out the Blazer corporations in hopes to get in Luther Alexander's good graces. We'll see how that goes. They hand him a card, which was an Ace of Spades, and they're looking to join with Luther so they can dominate the league. But I think Luther has other things in mind, which we'll talk about next cycle. So, but nice job by the Death Dealers. I really like this. Again, you're coming in strong. You're taking dudes out. You're trying to get, on the good sides of some heels. So you're really establishing yourself as a heel. So nice job overall.
Nice. Good. So I would mention that I think a lot of managers did an excellent job building into the aforementioned pay-per-view matches. So kudos to everyone for that. Other things that I would mention specifically is the budding feud between the Carnage Squad and the Lone Wolves. I think there's some really good build-up for both sides there, each of their trash talk. So looking forward to seeing more of that. I would mention again, maybe my favorite line from the trash talk this cycle came from Alabaster, but you have to kind of go back to what Unleavened Bread says in order to enjoy the joke fully. Unleavened Bread pulls some crackers from his tights and says, make sure you eat healthy. And then Alabaster basically says, oh, yeah, that's great. I would like some crackers. And I'm like, you probably don't want the crackers that were in Unleavened Bread's tights. So, anyway, I thought it was funny. I laughed. So, kudos for that. And then also, I am super excited for the development of the Southern Song Dynasty. Drunken Fisherman, Drunken Camper will now be going by their real names, Ernest Ahab and Lewis N. Clark.
Oh,
boy.
Yeah.
Play on words.
But I am super excited to see them team with recent Gold Fed champion Ray Converse, as well as the Turkey Harley Brown. I think they're going to make a huge, huge splash in the CWL going forward. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, man, I dig that. Next up is the BRL Battle Royal League number 528. League champion Cowboy Jim Spur. TV champion Sharpshooter Jake Scarlett. Atlantic champion the Russian Rocket Alexei Smirnov. Central champion Rick Riley. Dixie champion Rick Challenger. Eastern champion R.A. Rude. Mountain champion the Saskatchewan Sasquatch. Northern champion Vampiro Gato. Pacific champion El Barbero. Prairie champion the Great David. Southern champion the Sergeant Dagger Vanderback. Western champion the Mexican Mauler. Tag team champions the Mexican Mauler and Captain Grizzled Hackback. Captain Grizzled Hackback. TV tag team champions Colonel Dirk Vanderback and Sergeant Dagger Vanderback. Six-man champions Lord Regal, Martel the Model, and Zolf Diggler. TV six-man champions Sharpshooter Jake Scarlett, the talented Max Ripley, and the Russian Rocket Alexei Smirnov. In addition to that, the winner of the Battle Royal, winning $50 in IWA credit, R.A. Rude. So congratulations. So Matt, what's going down in the BRL?
Well, I will say that it's a nice little yield for the six-man champions, as Lord Regal, Martel, and Zolf won the IWA 6, and Scarlett, Ripley, and Smirnov won the US 6. So well done there, folks. Spur, interesting note, his first league title, and he went titleless last year. So a shutout year to league champion. So turnaround city. And I spilled something on my bulletin. So that's...
No.
It's all right.
Now it's going to be wrinkly forever.
The stain gives it character.
That's what my mom said.
Yes. There's a lot going on. Our pay-per-view event, WrestleRama 7. I was asked this earlier by a player. The matches this coming cycle will determine the winners.
Oh.
And then the next issue after that will be the write-up. So You want to have a good cycle this cycle, so focus on doing your best you possibly can to win those big matchups, of which there are many. We, of course, have the Queen of the Ring tournament getting up and ready. So if you're interested, we're going to have an event for the women to compete in and win a championship belt if possible. So something fun to be involved in. Trash talk-wise, there's so many things to talk about. We have the Suburban Hell Savages, as always, with a nice full page with lots going on. And the reason I bring them up is one of the members, Money Driven Mike Sebastian, writes one of the better promos in the game. He and some other players recently have done this where they've been waiting to the last minute to send in their matches and or trash talks.
It's a dangerous game, folks.
And it really is. Can't stress enough. I had about 3 people come to me last cycle say, oh, I got this going on, that going on. Big cycle TT-wise. And all 3 of them got shut out because they waited too long to send it in. So don't wait. Send it in. And, the good rule of thumb for me is if Monday at 9 a.m. is the deadline for a Tuesday gold run, send it in by Sunday night or Sunday. Just get it in and get it out of the way, and you're in the clear. It hurts to see, I know people write some really good promos, and to see them miss out for just, a deadline. Mr. Anderson, what did you notice?
Well, I would piggyback our earlier comment that certainly there was a noticeable improvement to the readability of the trash talk this cycle, so thank you for that. So it's not, an improvement in quality. The quality was already good, but the readability of some of the trash talk was highly improved this cycle. So kudos for that. And there is a lot of really good trash talk this cycle. The one that kind of stuck out to me that I wanted to talk a little bit about was the Wrestling with Sasquatch with lovely Lucy Lethal, and Sasquatch talking about how Fatty the Butcher has really not gotten a lot of props, right? He's kind of been the guy in the background for Adam Cash, which she refers to as Adam Trash throughout the trash talk, which I think is good. It's still got the $sign, but it's Adam Trash instead.
Oh, how dare they!
But just how Fatty doesn't get a lot of promotion, he doesn't get any merchandise. Just basically how he's been
fat, that's what.
He's been used, basically. So it's just a very interesting take. And I always like it when somebody does something a little different. So that one stuck out to me.
Okay. And Mr. Alex G.
Now, I'm always a big mark for certain things, and there's always certain things that always get my attention. And Punk Rock Miguel has made an appearance, and he got involved in Ghostly Shadow's non-title match. So a little play and a legendary angle would be the Midnight Rider or Mr. America, or the Yellow Dog, or Juan Cena. Always really kind of dig that. So nice job by Punk Rock Miguel. I'm just wondering if he's related to Punk Rock Mike and he's in cahoots with the Suburban Hell Savages, because I'm not sure.
Cahoots.
But I dig it, man.
I will say, in BRL-wise, we have the Intergender Tag Team Tournament coming up this summer, the Best of 7 series for the men, and the Best of 5 for the women. As you know, we have a women's division in the BRL, always looking for a new talent, and it's sort of nice because you can have one wrestler just kind of in a separate little bracket event. It's a lot of fun, so if you're interested, please take part. Yeah, there's a lot going on in the BRL. I will say this, there are going to be some enormously impactful promos next cycle in the BRL. Lots going on. Ta-da!
Nice. Fantastic. And I just want to have a brief message out there. If you're a returning wrestler who is returned from a hiatus from the game, and you're interested in joining the IWAR, that's great, and we appreciate that. But please do us a favor and read all the material that we put out there. Would it be the latest issue of the IWAR Ringside Magazine, the Commissioner Report? We put a lot of work in those. So make sure that you read those first. Those may answer most of your questions. And if you still have questions after that, then you can definitely contact me. We'll be happy to answer those questions for you. Sure. All right, guys. Anything else before we call it quits?
One little thing I wanted to.
I was just going to say that NWL-wise, I meant to mention we're going to have a new contest coming up soon contest event that we're looking into as far as sort of a fun little way to add some excitement to the league. So we love that. And also, this cycle is the debut of former BRL commentator, now NWL commentator, Hugh Jass.
Yeah. What I was going to say was the Unknown Wrestler League is going to be starting back up soon. And so if anybody has any thoughts or interest or wants to make a comment underneath, in the comments section, do you like Unknown Wrestler League? Are you planning to be in it? What's your strategy? So just kind of interested in people's take. I did participate the last go-around, the one that just finished. I did participate. So I'm just interested in what people's thoughts are about the league itself. So that's all. Just wondering. It's going to be starting soon.
Who won the
I may
last
do it again.
UWL, by the way?
Say what?
Who won the last UWL?
It was a BRL wrestler, El Barbero.
There we go.
Oh, actually, that will parlay nicely into our question of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Right?
Yes, our new trivia, which I forgot to mention earlier. Here's some trivia for you, folks. Who is the last BRL wrestler to win the Unknown Wrestler League? Comment in or below this video and let us know your answer. Ta-da!
Like before El Barbero won it?
Right.
Oh, before El Barbero.
Before. Who was the last BRL wrestler to win the Unknown Wrestler League? And yes, I know the answer.
I think I know the answer.
Well, you can go and comment below.
I don't want to give it away. Right.
Give it away now.
Oh,
yes.
man.
Oh, boy.
That's no.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we are officially out of time. So for Matt Riley, for Mr. Anderson, I'm